Yeah, go ahead.
All right. We are at Fox Raceway for Tailgate Talk with Kenny Day from Fox Racing, and I think we're probably making the worst possible choice right now by wearing all black.
Yeah, I mean, it happens, right?
Well, somebody got roosted with some mud.
I got roosted. I had to change it into all black test kit because I got 3 laps and just got splattered. So it's all good. Yeah, it does happen. Yeah.
So introduce yourself. Like I know a lot of people that are watching. I know a lot of core moto people and industry people will kind of know who you are, and they deal with you on a day in, day out basis. But for the I guess casual fan that's kind of watching this, introduce yourself, what you do at Fox Racing, which I think is awesome.
Appreciate that.
And kind of go from there.
So Kenny Day, I'm sadly going to be 36 this year.
Not that much. I'm only a year older.
I know, but it's just kind of one of those. That number starts rising, you don't want to pay attention,
stop.
Yeah. But I work for Fox Racing. My job title is Pro Athlete Manager.
Yeah.
That is like a very wide thing. So basically, from start to finish, I take care of everything that goes on them, getting it to us. So basically, it starts from the beginning of sitting down with our internal team, marketing, design. We're obviously going to build a gear plan around things that are releasing. And then we're going to work with the riders. Basically from start to finish. We start there, get it all approved by the teams, and then it goes from me getting it ordered, factory makes it,
taking it, setting it up.
Yeah, it shows up, and then I go to every single event. So we normally do between like 30 to 35 events a year.
So you're just coordinating everything that the riders are wearing on a week in, week out basis, new drops, things like that, like coordinating all that kind of stuff. So today, this is, I think, the kind of cool thing about your job, right? Yeah. You're a rider. Yeah. And you're really dang good on the dang bike,
Thank you.
But you're a rider, so you come out here and you ride, but you're getting to ride a Stark today.
Yeah, pretty cool. Obviously, there's a lot of perks to the job, right? We work 7 days a week, but there's days where stuff like this happens, and you're like super thankful. So today we're gonna ride the Stark at some point. I haven't ridden probably like a month and a half, so I'm trying to go out and break the rust off a little, and then get into it. So,
All right. So the racing has been pretty intense. You have it a little bit favored in Jet's way right now, right?
Yeah.
Which, in your opinion, as like a rider and like as a fan of moto, when you have somebody that's kind of dominating like that, is that something that you enjoy watching, or what do you think about somebody that's doing that?
I think at first, right, you get all the hype, and they do like a round or two, and then Jets obviously was dominant immediately, and you're kind of like, all right, let's, you're kind of holding back a little bit, trying to see. Personally, I understand what's happening out there and how perfect and precise he's got to be every single time, especially now that you got Chase back and a few other guys coming back in. And it's got to be perfect, for him to do what he's doing. And sure, it sucks to see one person winning everything, but same as the RC days and the Stu days, man, you gotta understand and appreciate and just really look at a different perspective of what's going in
and how hard it is to do that.
Yeah, and not just him, but everything around him. His internal team, his family, his friends. Everything has to be consistent and perfect, and that's not easy to do.
No.
So
all right. So a lot of people, when I do these, are like, why don't you ever talk about current events? And so I was like, all right, now we got the current events out of the way.
Yeah.
I like more getting to know. And the reason that I do these is I want to get to know you as a person, and who you are, and how you kind of maybe even got into moto. How did that start? At a young age, did you race? Because I don't know that about you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Walk me through that of the early part and how you got into moto, and then maybe even how you got into this. And how you got to here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long one, but basically grew up racing. I had 2 older brothers that raced. They were my heroes, the guys I always looked up to. And then I rode a lot up until I was probably 6, 7, and when I got closer to a 65, I kind of backed away from the sport. I didn't really enjoy it. I had a few crashes, and I was at that point, right? So I took a few years off from racing and riding, and then kind of started to dabble back in it around 13. Okay. And when I did come back, I don't know, something clicked, and it started to work a little bit better. So, I eventually held up.
Where was that at?
I'm from Maryland originally, so Budds Creek is my home track. I'm a few miles from that, and I held a pro license, tried to qualify for nationals, but truthfully, I was working a regular job and doing that, and I just really wasn't that into it. So I never qualified. That's one of those things that always bums me out. But yeah,
it's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. But yeah, long story short, man, I just kind of from that point, I obviously knew I wasn't gonna, be a
make it
professional.
on that side of things.
And I went into just a regular life, just rode on the weekends kind of thing. And man, I hated my job. Like, I just hated it. I was a pipe fitter in the union in DC, and man, I hated waking up and just doing that grind every day, and felt like I had a bigger purpose that I needed to serve. And one day I just it kind of worked out weird, but I blew my back out pretty bad, and I was like a manual labor job, and there was no way I could continue down that path. And they actually released me from school. Like, I was in training in school and stuff, and which rarely happens, but they let me out. And at that point, I'm like, man, I got to try to pursue something I love, right? And so I started Tony Archer, if you know that
Tony
name.
Archer,
Tony and I are from the same hometown.
Yep.
We grew up racing together, and he was still racing professionally, and I was like, man, I just got to do something, right? Like, something in the industry I love. So it kind of started as like a little bit of me trying to be a mechanic for him, and I was more or less there for his mental health. Just being around. And then we started doing some arena cross races, and it went really well. And there was a guy from Maryland that was like sponsoring him financially, and that dude just was like, hey, I know this sounds crazy, but I want to start a team.
No way.
And he's like, are you interested? And I'm like, oh my God, like, that's a dream, So yeah, that was called Traders Racing.
Okay. What year was this?
So it started in 2014.
Okay.
And from 2014 to 2019, basically kind of ran a team. So the first couple years, I was like mechanic, driver, and everything. And then eventually, I became just a team manager, and I did that for a few years, and that went pretty well. Like, I think I stayed under the radar a lot. Like, people didn't know so much about like our team or us who were from the East Coast. But we had some good results with Luke Renzlin. If you know that name.
I know the name. The name sounds familiar.
There was a East-West shootout in 2018 in Indy, and we got a podium. So I think that was like, for sure, like the all-time goal of the team, and
just to get on the box.
There's a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of years of just absolute grind to get that. To do that was really cool. And so long story short, man, I kind of like hit a plateau after that, and was like, I got to do something a little different. And I applied at Alpine Stars.
Oh, no way.
And got the job there to be the pro athlete manager there.
Okay.
I did that for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah.
Learned a ton.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate like the situation there, because it allowed me to really like showcase who I was as a person, and just really get to make great relationships. Because if you look at A-Stars, like, everyone's wearing their boots at the Nationals. So I got to kind of just be around everyone. And it really opened the door for some good relationships. And then sure enough, I got a phone call from Austin Hoover, which is still my boss, to come.
He's the best, right? He's the best.
He is the best.
Amazing.
Hey, man, I mean, he got me here, and I'm very thankful for that. But he gave me an offer to come to Fox, and the goal at that time was just to kind of set a new standard for Fox. And they were looking for somebody to take it to the next level of their rider support at the time, and I sat on it for a while. I did. I wasn't sure. The A-Stars gig I had was really good, and Gabrielle treated me really well. And I'm very thankful for those times, but I just needed to kind of venture off for myself and
kind of find another path.
For sure. So even though I do a lot of the things I do here are very similar there. My involvement here, the amount of effort, the things you're responsible for when you're here are much higher. Which, sure, I may work 7 days a week, but the reward is so much bigger. To see the guys succeed. The relationships that I've built here with Fox have been incredible. So and Fox is so open to me being able to create those relationships. That's what they were looking for.
They want you to do that.
For sure. So, the relationships I've created with like Ken Roxon and Cian Cirillo, and you go down the list, I'm just super thankful for that. So now I ride here and there. I do some
a little here and there.
A little here and there. I get to do some testing for the brand, and just really kind of make sure I'm in tune with what's going on, because that's going to obviously pay off for on the weekends.
So how long have you been with Fox then?
I've been with Fox over 2 years now.
Over 2 years,
Yep.
okay. And then so you've, I mean, but this has been like a totally different, I think, world for you, just because I feel like you're trying to, especially with like, you guys have a new boot, you guys developed a new boot, you guys, I mean, are developing, you just came out with a new helmet, you know, and I know a lot of the guys that do a lot of the testing, and I've seen you, and it's kind of funny, is like, this is my photographer hat coming on, is like, whenever I see you wearing all black, or I see you wearing like one color, I'm like, I'm not gonna be able, I can't post that one, you know, like he's testing something.
Yeah, it's all good.
But how is it testing like product, like as a rider, like how does that kind of world work for you?
Honestly, like I feel honored to do it, right? You know, I feel when I first got to Fox, I feel like I had so much to give, to offer in that side. And I'm pretty sure when I first started to go over to the product team with all my stupid little ideas and changes, they were looking at me like I was crazy. But you know, thankfully my riding kind of backed up what I was saying, right? And now I think I have a good level of respect from Fox and everyone on the product team to just really understand what I'm saying, because I think I do a pretty good job of just being like in tune with what's going on. And I'm really good at like just watching the boys and seeing what's happening on the track. You know, I think, you know, like just building a boot, right? Like you wouldn't think that's that big of a deal, but man, it's a lot of effort to make sure that it's gonna like be usable, last long, you know, all these things. So my side of it is more or less kind of like, I'm trying to make sure that we have some longevity, but I'm also trying to make sure that's functional. And functional for everyone, right? I'm only seeing the top tier guys for the most part, but for the most part, it translates. Everything that we do with the top guys, we bring into the product, and obviously it's going to work for the consumer. So
it's definitely testing things and products is something that you have no idea how much that entails until you start doing it.
For sure.
And then you're like, oh, wait a second. You know, this is way more enveloped than I thought it was going to be.
It's a massive process, and if you don't quite understand it, you might just think like, why do they do this or why do they do that? But when you see the back end of it and the amount of communication that it has to, for all of us, right, to communicate and make something really good, like, man, that's a win when it comes out and everyone's like, hey, this is awesome. So,
all right, so you hit on the friendships and everything that you were talking about before with riders and things like that. How has it been when you have, like, especially when you have some of these people like Cincerello, where, I mean, unbelievable talent, unbelievable speed, but like you're with him all the time and you're like, he's not where he wants to be.
For sure.
You know, and where he, I think, can be is up at the top.
Definitely.
You know, and like you're going through that stuff like as the, I guess, like the athlete manager or the brand manager, you're also their friend. And then, like, you have to foster that relationship. You know, and that's an aspect of like your job that I think a lot of people don't see, is like you have to manage egos, you have to manage you know, the emotional side of things, the physical side of things, all that stuff. You know?
Definitely.
I mean, how's that been like going with some of the riders at like some of the nationals and getting them through those hard places?
Definitely. So I will contribute. I think I had a good start, right? Like being a team manager. You know, I kind of got to see that, like the highs, the lows. Now, when I came to this side, and for sure, it's at times, like egos can get in the way, or you know, if someone doesn't like someone and they like see you talking to someone or putting more effort in, of course, you got to factor all that in. But for me, it's like I just kind of purely just build my friendship, you know, and let them know that I'm always there for them. And I learned that you can't really ride the roller coaster. You know, I kind of just try to stay neutral. So for example, like, I mean, whether it's Ken, it's Adam, it's Christian, any of those guys, they go through it, right? They have their wins and everything's amazing, and then the next weekend things can go really wrong, and you really gotta figure out how to like be there for them. So for me, it's just, I made a commitment to myself to always be the same no matter what, you know?
Even across the board.
Across the board. It's like, and when I say that, I'm not trying to be like cold by any means.
No, I get it.
It's just like, hey, I'm gonna be the guy that's always here for you no matter what. You know, almost kind of like a dad, essentially.
You're taking care of them as a person.
You know, I've seen Ken at his super highs and like crazy lows, and no matter what, whether he got first or 15th, and he was, you know, madder than hell, I'm always gonna be that friend that comes in with like a positive point to the day. and just make sure that I'm not like, what the hell were you doing?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Because
not
they get
my,
that
yeah.
enough.
No, for
Like,
sure. That's not, that's not my part. Ultimately, I'm just their gear guy. Sure, that's a very important part, but me being a good friend to them is what means the most to me.
That's good. Is that when you started doing the phrases and like the positive quotes on their goggles and stuff like that?
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
It's like I've had a lot of, I guess, self-motivation ever since I started, doing this kind of job. And there's like in life, we all go through our highs and lows, and there's always been times where I felt like, man, I kind of want to just give up at times, and I've always been really into like, if I'm driving across the country and stuff like that, I go on YouTube. I watch a lot of like motivational stuff. I do a lot of reflection. And I know that if I'm going through it, that they're going through it. And I can physically see them going through their struggle. So just something as simple as me writing, something positive on their goggles could change the outcome of the day.
Know.
And sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And
but at least you're being that positive influence, especially with riding, is you have so many people that are harping on them and putting so much pressure on them, especially at that level. It's like if you could just say, hey, you look good today, like it's a lit kid at least, or whatever, like enjoy the day, like remember why you're here. I think you've written stuff like that with Roxon and stuff like that. But I think that's good. And if you haven't seen it, when people get packages from you, you also write it on there too, which is pretty funny.
I try to, man. You just gotta like lighten it up a little bit. I mean, obviously it brings some value to like what we do as a brand, and just like how much effort we're putting in to make sure that those guys feel special. That's the whole goal.
What's the future for Fox Racing? What do you envision, and where are you trying to take the brand as like on your side of things and riders and all that kind of stuff? Like, how's that look for you?
I think Fox is definitely in a point right now where we're going to make some pretty big changes. Just the way we look, the way we're doing things, and obviously in the positive direction, right? I think for the longest time now, Fox has always kind of like lived on the things that it was in the beginning days, Like we still do all the throwbacks and people wig out on that stuff. And I think it's awesome, but I also feel like we're at a transition to where we're really going to see a new side of Fox. You're still going to like have all the old qualities that made us Fox.
Not lose it.
Not lose it, obviously. But I see a lot of things that are coming, and we're all super excited for the brand at the moment. And for me personally, I think I'm trying to move a little more towards like product development. That's just something that makes me tick. And when I can take the time to come out and ride and try all these things, I can see how it immediately like turns into a functional thing for the guys.
And you can give the feedback too. You're so close to the riders that like if they're telling you something, you could actually come out there and test it.
For sure. No, I mean there's times where I've put stuff on in early stages and been like, all right, I know that so-and-so is not going to like this for this reason, and before we ever take it to them, like, that's what we're trying to do is make sure that everything's right. So,
All right. So now that we have the 2 or 3 week break, whatever it is, do you get to break? Do you get to do anything?
Sort of, kind of. Like typically, I go to Loretta's. That's that's a place that I grew up at. I absolutely love it there. I have so much history, and I go there every single year, no matter how smoked I am. This year, I think is going to be the first year that I'm not going to go. There's just so much going on. We're traveling. We're working 7 days a week.
World Supercross now. Like
everything. So thankfully. We have some really good people at Fox, really good people, and
that you can let go and do
that's
that.
The thing, Like you obviously know Matt Mora. He's our amateur motocross manager now.
That's a good dude.
Super good dude. He's come. He's
is
made.
He in Europe?
He is in Europe right now. Yeah, but he's made so much progress so quick that like I could just be like, here.
You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to stress out of them going.
So that's been really good. And for those reasons, I'm for the first time in a long time, I'm going to step back a little bit and just. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still gonna be at the office.
You're still working.
Still gonna be working, but for sure.
But not boots on the ground.
I'll take the time to try to do some riding, do some mountain biking.
And like kind of reset.
For sure.
So that's got to be pretty beneficial for you, for the riders, for everybody. So.
Definitely. So I mean, it gives me time to like really catch up on the things I've been wanting to put time in. We're moving really fast.
You don't really have a choice. So, all right. Well, I mean, I think that's a good way to cap it off. You haven't ridden the Stark yet, so I'm excited to talk to you about that after.
We're gonna go.
I think that would be pretty good. But thanks for always being cool with me. Like we met at the track a while ago, and you showed me grace, and you showed me a lot of just friendship and mentorship and just like advice and things like that.
Yeah.
And I've told you this before, but I really appreciate it. A lot of that stuff goes a long way for a guy like me that's like trying to start out.
Of course.
So I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, I mean, for me, it's like, not to get too far off topic, but like we're all people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Of course, like in this industry, if you know someone, you can kind of like go up the ladder, but man, we all started somewhere. We all started like at the point where we were really nervous to even jump in because it's a commitment, right?
It's hard. Yeah.
But it's for me, it's like when I see people come in and like I know that they're gonna grind and like it's like anything. If you put the effort in, you're gonna pull it off.
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
But as long as the root of it is the passion for it, it'll take you forever. If you get to the point where you kind of start looking like left to right and you see what people have and don't have, you get lost real quick.
Yeah, you just keep your head straight. So, like that's all that matters anyway.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Thank you.
All right,
I appreciate you sitting down. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hate asking this. This is the worst part about doing this is like and subscribe, comment, talk about him and his hat or something. I don't know. Like just leave comments. That's what helps on YouTube stuff. So
likes and comments equal money. So
that's true.
Yeah.
But thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.